Now, when I was growing up, there was always this belief that we weren't just going to mine things in the Earth, but we'd be able to go to the moon and bring back mineral deposits from there, or Mars, or maybe other different parts of the world. And there's actually scientists that predict in the year 2154 that we'll be colonizing, from a mining standpoint, a small moon in the Alpha Centauri system called Pandora, that's got a plethora supply of a superconductive material called unobtainium. Now, if this sounds familiar, it's because it's the plot of the movie Avatar. But as you recall from the movie, one of the biggest challenges they had were the environmental and cultural impacts of going in and disrupting the ecosystem and the native Na'vi people and digging under their religiously symbolic tree. But these are the kinds of challenges and compromises and balances that will need to be made in the coming years as we think about raw materials. There's a big challenge and a big debate right now in the United States because there's something called the Marcellus Shale that sort of parallels the Appalachian Mountains here on the East Coast. It's got a tremendous amount of natural gas reserves that energy companies would like to go in and do a hydraulic fracking and spray chemicals in to release the gas. But the environmentalists are obviously concerned about some of the side effects of that. It's the Chesapeake Bay watershed. What might some of the impacts of that be? Other concerns are, of course, worker safety. You all probably remember last August when the mine collapsed down in Chile. You know, the area that it was in was one of the most driest, dangerous places on the Earth, but those are the kinds of places that we're going to need to go to satisfy our ongoing quest for mineral deposits and raw materials. Now, fortunately, the 69 miners were rescued in this case, but there's been lots of other examples of accidents in the United States and other places where the workers haven't been as lucky. So these kinds of social, cultural, economic, and environmental issues are what's going to need to be balanced as we think about this stuff going forward. Now, easier than actually going to Mars or the moon or someplace else to excavate things might be looking undersea, because we've actually significantly under-researched the ocean floor. Scientists believe that there are millions and millions of species of life that were yet undiscovered, and that there are rich deposits of lead and copper and aluminum and zinc and gold that are underneath the ocean surface. So not surprisingly, China, in big demand of these things, has redoubled its efforts and its technology investment in undersea exploration. You might have read in the newspapers back in July, they did a 6,000-meter dive to an area of the Pacific Ocean between Hawaii and the west coast of the United States to do some research on the ocean seafloor. But it's not just the Chinese, it's the Russians as well. Some of you might remember back in August 2007, they took an icebreaker ship up to the North Pole, cut a hole in the ice, put a submersible, went down 4,000 meters and stuck a 1-meter Russian flag at the exact point of the North Pole and said, "We declare the North Pole as ours." Needless to say, the other countries like Denmark and the United States and Canada, which also have territorial claims in the Arctic region, were not particularly amused by this. Probably the funniest part of the story, though, is the Russian media put some images like you see in the upper right out in the press. It's television footage. Reuters picked it up, pushed it throughout the Western world, and it took a 13-year-old in Finland to discover that wasn't actually footage of the Russian submarine at all. It was the opening scenes of James Cameron's Titanic that they had tried to pass off.